Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Friendship Pearson, and welcome again to my channel. It is April 15th of 2025. I have 9:03 in the a.m. I pray everyone under the sound of my voice has a beautiful day in the Lord. A few days ago, I produced a video in relation to, I guess, a shocking experience whereby I took my son out to an arcade center and I saw and witnessed a predominance of young people that gave me a culture shock. I couldn't tell who was who. I couldn't understand how that when God created us in his image, there would be such a drastic change in our lifetime where over 40% of the kids had tattoos, even through their neck and on their face and under their eyes. And the men and even the women sagging. The human decency aspect. I asked myself, how did we get here? I quoted a statement from a leader back in the day. He said, when I try to take America, I won't fire one shot. You guys responded to the video. And during that period, someone sent me a email. And they said, Pearson, there is a plan to break America and transition America. And the salt of the earth, meaning that the Christians, if they rebel with their morals and their philosophy and their positions about Christianity, they will be done away with in one form or another, because there is a plan for a new universal thinking. Now, as you guys know, since I was a teenager, I've known about of what is called now the Golden Age. This is me, published by the Park Forest South newspaper. It's from November 16th of 1975. November 16th, 1975. The newspaper featured me because I had decorated my room red, white, and blue in anticipation of the next year of July 4th, 1776, the bicentennial of the United States. That's me right there, Friendship Pearson. Very proud of my country. I was 17, my last year in high school. Like you, I had dreams of a promise and a promising America, despite all of its challenges. I began to reread a book from my late stepfather, who I talked about a few weeks ago, 666 by Salem Kirby. Little did I know that generations later, I would read this, Barack Obama, The Audacity of Hope. Many times we don't know exactly what our future is going to hold. Last night, again, wee hours in the morning, I began to think about what he said. He ran on hope and change. And then a few weeks ago, he says, nobody's coming to save you. Hope and change comes out to 250 in reverse. Hope and change comes out to 250 in reverse. Nobody thought to find out if there was number representation in the first black man that then became president, or should I say questionable black man. And we didn't think that during the Trump administration, Kid Rock would wear red, white, and blue to the White House, where the flag is split in two and the wings are separated, yet there is a 250 on his jacket. 250. Just like hope and change, 250. You know, when I get these thoughts at night and I start putting it together, it's amazing. Don't ever think that when you talk to God, he won't talk back to you, because he will. I lived through those generations where I saw America go through transition to bring us to the now. I've said that the three things that America does to split us apart are sexism, racism, classism. There are other things. We live in this domain where we share it. Because of sin, we now share this space. I said a few days ago, as I spoke with God, I'm like, do we perceive you as being the God who created us to end this experience on earth? I don't think it was God's intent to end this thing. But because of sin, he had to let it come to a point where he would have to judge, break it up, and start all over. And if you believe the chronicles of the Bible and the prophets that God sent, it backs up what I'm saying, that there's either a 6,000-year reign of man or whatever time period, but it's going to come to an end. I do believe we're at the end. There have been some famous statements made throughout world history. Statements that arguably have signified a great and or transitioning moment. You have nothing to fear but fear itself. That was during the Great Depression with FDR. Klaus Schwab, he said, you'll own nothing but be happy. So you go from a thought of you enter depression, but you shouldn't fear, and then you listen to a world leader who says you'll own nothing but be happy, and you see the transition into 15-minute cities and different philosophies. Then you have Neil Armstrong that you reflect upon, where he says, one small step for mankind and one giant leap for mankind. And then you have today, make America great again. And then we go back to what he said a few weeks ago. Nobody's coming to save you. Those are powerful words. In essence, those are transitional words. You see, I wrote about that, but I want to throw this at you at another sense. I've talked about how America and its drug problem was not natural, that it had to be allowed, that it had to be planned, that when it came into all our big cities in the 70s running rampant, even now, that the infrastructure that was set up, it had to be in part orchestrated by a greater hand than the common man and woman. Because the goal was to diminish man. And I want you to keep this in the context of what Barack Obama said a few weeks ago. Nobody's coming to save you. Because I've got a different feel to it now. So drugs swept through our society and arguably placed in all of our minority communities. You know about the prison industrial complex, how that works, how many overdoses that we had, the transformation of our bio and our inner part. And now we have arguably the second or third generation of babies who have been affected by that intake and digestion of the drugs, because we don't know what was in it. We would assume that it's pure. But arguably, when we look at this generation, it's just not a spiritual collapse on the populace. In my humble opinion, it had to be because drugs were readily available, that is, the illegal ones. And the digestion of that, it affected the bio, the gene. So we can talk all day about the drugs, racism, sexism, classism. That was all orchestrated as well. Nobody's coming to save you. This is what woke me up last night. Because there's a split coming. There's a split coming. Because there's a division coming. And the ugly truth of the second half of the tribulation, 666, the mark of the beast. Your value has deliberately been depleted. Your worth is now disposable. I'm going to say it again. Your value during the tribulation period has been depleted. Whether you have taken drugs, whether your morals have become bankrupt, your reverence to God, you've been depleted. Thus now your worth is disposable. I said from the outset, we share space. So there's always been a tug of war, not just in the universe, but a tug of war in our space. Good, evil. Evil has been trying to outdo, show up, penetrate the good, and thus orchestrate everything to eventually extinguish the good. This is what bad has tried to do. And I believe it's finally reached that point. You see, because of sin, I believe God put that timeline in there. And I believe we're at the end. And the Bible speaks of it in the book of Revelation, in the book of Daniel, in the book of Matthew, the end time 666 mark of the beast. Somewhere in between, there had to become a transition for our value to be depleted, is what I'm saying. So the second half, mark of the beast, your value has been depleted. Your worth is now disposable. So who are the new children? Are they bots? Are they AI? Are they skin people? The roles will be reversed from creation. That which was created to experience the love, grace, and peace and care of the Almighty will now become servants to the greatest visual light, the sun god, the golden age. We've been tricked, but we had to be reduced in value. No one's here to save you because your role and your position has been downgraded. Thus, you're unworthy to be saved in the second half of the tribulation. This is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm feeling. There are 7 years during the tribulation period. And the second 3.5 years, Satan's going to go buck wild. There'll be nobody here to save you. You've been downgraded, thus you'll serve that which is in concert with the sun. By gradually becoming far removed from your birthright, because we had dominion. Far removed from your birthright, your morals, you've transitioned from dominion, that is dominance, and keepers of the kingdom, into the likeness of your opposition, into the likeness of your oppressor. Translated, the email that I received has got to be accurate. That the salt of the earth, that which has been made in God's image, instead of the creation serving us and us exceeding beyond all expectations and welcoming the grace and love and peace from my Heavenly Father, all that's been discounted because of sin. And you'll be forced to worship that light that rises during the day and sets at night. That light has power in their mind. That light has a philosophy. It has an order. To me, that's why they coded it years ago, the New World Order. So called the New World Order, the Purple Reign, REIGN. or even the Make America Great / Golden Age, it's all the same. When you stir it up and put it all together, it's all the same thing. It brings me back here. Satan knew exactly what his plan was. He knew exactly the strategy he had to use to get us to this point. But he needed our will to pull it off. He needed our contribution, and he needed our participation in it. So we had to become downgraded, even thinking to the point that we would experience glory by those who promised a better life. Yet, it was all a lie. If you look at the investments and the trend is AI. The trend is a new being. I'm gonna say it again. The trend is AI. The investment is into a new being. Because you're now worthless. When God sat back and said on the seventh day, everything is good, and he was pleased with it, that included all that which was made in his image. So Satan knew that one transgression of Adam and Eve would allow him in our space to transition it to the point where someone would come along, where someone could come along and say, hope and change. And remember, it means 250. And then you have, like I said, 250 on this jacket. America will be 249 years old in a few months, July 4th. I submit to you by 250, the transition will be complete. And all that I hoped for and all that I admired during the bicentennial, July 4th, 1776, when I transformed my room into the red, white, and blue, holding Lincoln. And arguably, either yesterday or today is the day of his assassination. I wonder what he would say. One small step for mankind, one giant leap for mankind, nothing to fear but fear itself. You'll own nothing or be happy. You'll make America great again. Or nobody's coming to save you. Well, I'm sure as he looked historical over America since our birth, he'd be speechless. My name is Friendship Pearson. I just wanted to put that on your mind this morning.